Warm temperatures are here and the hot Washington summer is coming. Will your residential or commercial cooling system beat the heat this year? For air conditioning maintenance, repair, installation, and service agreements, call the 5-star cooling experts at Crop Metcalf. Their technicians will make sure you and your family are cool all season long. Call 1-800-GO-CROP or visit cropmetcalf.com.
Crop Metcalf is the one with 5 stars.
Crop Metcalf, home of the 5-star technician and proud partner of the Washington Nationals.
You're listening to the Sisters in Loss podcast, a faith-based grief and loss podcast for Black women, where you will hear stories of miscarriage, infant loss, stillbirth, and infertility to learn there is a testimony in tragedy. You will learn how to heal, gain clarity, find hope and peace, and turn your pain into your purpose after loss. I'm your host, Erica M. McAfee. Welcome to episode 103 of the Sisters in Loss podcast. Have you ever felt you may never experience motherhood? Today's guest felt exactly that way after experiencing 2 miscarriages. Jasmine Moore experienced her first miscarriage in 2016 at 11 weeks due to a blighted ovum. In 2018, she experienced her second miscarriage at 19 weeks due to natural causes. In today's episode, Jasmine takes us back on her journey to motherhood and shares the pain of not ever experiencing motherhood. This episode is for you to listen to if you have had a miscarriage, are trying to conceive, and may have given up on hope on this journey. Here is Jasmine Moore Mason.
Well, thank you, Jasmine, for being on the podcast.
No problem.
I'd like to begin with you sharing a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I currently live in Hampton. I work as a foster care caseworker in Portsmouth. I've been doing that for about 7 months now. It's been pretty interesting. Has its good days, its bad days, but I love working with children. So that's the best part of my job, I think.
Awesome. So take us back on your journey to motherhood and share with us your loss story.
Okay, so I've had 2 miscarriages. My first one was in 2016. I was only about 11 weeks at the time, and I was told that I had a blighted ovum. And so there was no baby in the actual sac. And so when I miscarried, everything came out, like the sac and the tissue surrounding the sac and everything. And that wasn't very painful. I mean, it hurt physically, but it wasn't as painful as it could have been. My second miscarriage was in April of this year, 2018. And I was, I think, about 19 going on 20 weeks, which the baby was there inside the sac and growing and healthy heartbeat and everything. However, I was told that I had fibroids and I think a uterine cyst, ulcer cyst, something was there. They saw on the ultrasound, but they told me that everything would be okay and that I also had a hematoma right behind my sac that said that it would dissolve over time as the baby grows. However, I continued to bleed throughout the whole pregnancy up until one morning I felt like I was having contractions. It was like a sharp pain in my stomach. It came for about 5 minutes or so. It went away for about 15 minutes and then it came back. So I immediately figured something was wrong. So I was going to go take a shower so that I can head to the emergency room. However, I didn't make it. My water broke when I was in the bathroom. So I had to call the ambulance. I couldn't get off the toilet to get to the door because when I sat on the toilet, it seemed like whatever was inside of me was starting to just fall out. And so the next thing I knew, I felt a lot of pressure and I put my hand between my legs and it felt like a baby's foot. And so I had to call my mom to get her to open my door because I didn't want to get off the toilet. I felt like if I got off, it would be too painful and I didn't want anything to fall on the floor. And so when I went to the emergency room, the baby had already come out. They wouldn't let me see anything. They were saying that it was just too bloody and too messy for me to look. And they ended up eventually giving me some medicine to kind of push out whatever was left inside of me. So I had to have another ultrasound, and they told me that everything was emptied out, but I felt very weak. I couldn't really stand up. I lost a whole lot of blood. I almost thought that I would have to get a blood transfusion. So they were asking me my blood type and if I needed a transfusion, would it be okay for me to get one? But it turns out that I did not need one at all. I was okay. I just had to lay there for a very, very long time until I felt the strength to be able to get up and walk again. But the second miscarriage, that hurt. It was very painful because of all of the pressure from the baby coming out and the contractions and everything of that nature. It hurt so bad. But after I healed, it took me a couple of days to heal, and I was okay after that.
Wow. So were you able to see your baby or hold your baby after that? And just talk about those next steps of that process.
No, they wouldn't let me see the baby. I wasn't able to hold the baby at all. They actually took the baby immediately after she came out to cremate her. They just did like a death certificate for the hospital records, and that was it.
Wow. So did you all have a memorial or anything for her?
I did not. Actually, I chose not to do that. I kind of wish I would have now, but I think I was just too emotional at the time to do anything regarding the baby. So I just chose not to.
Absolutely. That's understandable. So let's talk about your healing. So take us back on that journey, after you've gone home, the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months, and just tell us about how you began to grieve and really how your faith played a role in that process.
During that time period, I think I took about a month off work. I would honestly say that I'm still healing now, but throughout the process, I didn't want to stay at home, so I stayed at my mom's. During that time period, I kind of lost faith. Like, I believed in God, but I was kind of upset that God chose to take my baby away. And I didn't go to church for a very long time. I just honestly started going back to church maybe in August or September, but I was really upset with God, and I didn't really believe that it was meant for me to be pregnant again. Or at least that's what I was told. People were telling me, oh, well, you just weren't meant to be pregnant. Even the church people, they talked bad about me. They went to the church secretary and said negative things. So that really hurt. And that was a big factor in me choosing not to go back to church for a while. And so when I started going back to church again, I went to a different church in my area because I just didn't want to be around those same people. The people that claim to have loved me so much, they really hurt me by speaking negatively of my baby because I wasn't married when I got pregnant.
Absolutely. And that is the worst kind of hurt, is for the folks at the church to, judge you when only God can judge you in such situations like that. So I completely understand you switching churches and taking your time and finding another church that will love on you the way you should be loved, especially as you're grieving and trying to heal from such a traumatic experience.
Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Living Waters Doula Services. Out of her belly will flow rivers of living water. Rivers carry life and bring it forth to those who need it. I am excited to begin offering Living Waters Doula services to my sisters-in-laws. What is a doula? A doula is a non-clinically trained support person who provides emotional, physical, and informational assistance before, during, and after childbirth. My goal as your doula is to help you heal, remove anxiety and fear, and find peace and hope on your infertility and pregnancy journey. If you are currently trying to conceive and would like fertility support, if you are currently pregnant after loss, or if you want grief support for your recent loss, I'm available to share space with you as your doula and support you on this journey. For more details about Living Waters Doula Services, visit ericamcafee.com/doula. That is ericamcafee.com/DOULA. I'm excited to share space with you.
So tell us about really that whole process. Like, so the church that you're currently going to, really, how did they embrace you? You know, do you feel comfortable there to, to share your story, your testimony, and kind of how that you have been healed, and just kind of walk us through that, because I think that this is so critical for women who've experienced loss, especially women who may not be married when they get pregnant, and how the church handles those situations.
The church that I attend now, they really did embrace me. The pastor, he really took some time to get to know me. Not a whole lot of one-to-one time, but he knows, like, every time he sees me, he knows my name. He speaks to me. He calls me by my name, not just one of those church members that go because it is a larger church. The people there are very friendly. I'm not exactly sure if I'm ready to share my testimony there yet. I've been going there for a couple months now, so I feel a little comfortable with them, but I don't know if I feel comfortable enough to share my experience. If anyone asks me, I tell them the truth, like, this is what happened, this is why I stopped going to church. However, I started attending a different church that made me feel more comfortable. Things like that. Like, I don't know if I would actually get up and share in front of the church, though.
Absolutely. I completely understand that. I'm happy that you found another church, and that they, the pastor knows your name, he greets you, and that they're embracing you. And I just pray that anyone else who's listening on this podcast, if you've been hurt by people at your former church, that God leads you to a place that can cover you, that can support you, that can pray for you, and that you can learn and grow, and that you can get the word of God as you continue to heal. So thank God he led you somewhere else, and that you're getting what you need spiritually from, that's biblically sound at the church that you're going to. So let's talk about tools and resources, books, anything that you use to help you grieve, and the things that you're doing now as you continue to heal.
Well, I actually went to my doctor, my OBGYN, a couple of times after my miscarriage, and then I started talking to my regular doctor about what had happened. They suggested that I go to a support group in Newport News. I haven't attended that support group as of yet. However, I do plan on going at least once or twice to see how I like it. I also utilize at Centera, there is the chaplain that comes around to each room to talk to you. He did tell me that I can come back and talk anytime. So I utilized him as well, and he prayed for me, and he just provided that encouragement that I needed at the time, which encouragement helped all throughout the grieving process. And he did help me realize, which I already knew, but he helped me really, really realize that the grieving process has no time limit. And so some people would say that, oh, you should be over it by now. But, for me, it's been months later and I'm still not completely over the loss.
Absolutely. Grief doesn't know no timeline. I mean, people are still grieving. And to be honest with you, I think that everyone listening on this podcast, something always comes back up that triggers us or takes us back to a memory of our loss, whether it's walking through the grocery store. For me in particular, anytime I go to the OBGYN office, whether it's, when I lived in Charlotte or even here in Virginia, I still am triggered. So I think that, it doesn't matter how long it's been, you're still going to remember that experience. It's just how you handle it as you move forward and really get into a place of of gratefulness and thankfulness. And it takes time to do that. So yeah, it doesn't have no timeline. I think we all are still on this healing journey, just trying to better ourselves, to grow in Christ, and to just do what God has purposed us to do on this earth. So that's awesome that Chaplain was able to speak some life and joy into you. And yes, girl, go to that support group. You go to that support group. Those people will definitely reach out to you and wrap their arms around you. One thing that I realized that, and it's harder to find a support group in general where people look like me and you. So don't be discouraged when you go, but just know that you may not see a lot of Black women in there, because a lot of Black women are deterred from going, but you still should go, because you're still going to get the support that you need as you continue to heal. So, and that's for anybody out there. You can especially for groups that are in person. It's typically a little bit harder to find a group in person, but of course you have online groups as well. So I'm happy that you talked about those resources. So what encouraging words can you leave a mom out there who's been through a similar experience where they lost a baby in the second trimester and they are just continuing to grow, to learn, to heal?
I would say just, it's really hard, because at the same time, I'm trying to encourage myself, but I would say that seek help when needed. And it may seem hard as you're going through it, but you have those, utilize your resources. For me, I utilize my family, my friends, and then just, continue to pray. That's what I did. I started praying more often recently, just to help seek some spiritual guidance within myself, and reading scriptures. And yeah, I'm here. If somebody wants to talk or anything, like, just talk to someone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for sharing your story and your light. And we wish you well as you continue to grow in Christ at the new church that you're under now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I pray that this show was inspirational and a blessing to you. For show notes, visit ericamcafee.com/podcast. Please join us in our offline discussions in our private Facebook group by going to sistersinloss.com. If you're listening in Apple Podcasts, please rate and subscribe to us and leave us a 5-star review. I pray that you all have a blessed week. Keep the faith, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Welcome to another round of Drawing Board or Miro Board. Today we discuss technical diagramming with systems architect Maya. Let's go. First question. You've spent 10 hours slogging over a sequence diagram that should have taken 5. Drawing board or Miro board?
Drawing board. And if I'm being honest, Miro would probably cut that time down by half. With its AI tools and ready-to-go templates.
Next, your diagrams become so bulky, it's more complex than the solar system. But all it takes is a few clicks and...
It's Miro. I've used those technical shape packs way too many times, and stuff is just digestible on its infinite online canvas.
Now, the final question. Everyone's brought in, but you have to make all these tasks all the way over in Jira. But wait, it's done. Is it...
Miro. Easy with its two-way Jira sync. Easy to plot dependencies. Everyone always knows what's up.
And she's done it.
Join over 60 million people creating technical diagrams without workflow glitches. Get your first 3 boards for free at Miro.com. That's Miro.com.